I believe that, fundamentally, China is a global threat that must be confronted region by region, territory by territory, and nation by nation. The challenges posed by China in Africa are vast, but there is also an immense opportunity for the United States and for American businesses to flourish. In addition to Africa's natural resources, China seeks total control and dominance of Africa's rare earth minerals, its land, and its maritime ports. The Chinese Communist Party is executing a deliberate, methodical strategy to expand its footprint across Africa, economically, politically, and militarily, with the ultimate goal of undermining the United States and projecting power into some of the most strategic regions of the world. Nowhere is that strategy more apparent or more dangerous than in the maritime domain. China understands that control of maritime ports means control over global commerce and strategic leverage over the United States. Africa's coastlines sit at the crossroads of global arteries, and Beijing intends to dominate them. We have already seen what that looks like. Since 2017, China has operated a military base in Djibouti, mere miles down the road from ours. Beijing is also actively negotiating military access agreements up and down the Horn of Africa. Their goal is clear: secure naval presence at the gateway to the Red Sea, which is one of the most critical shipping corridors in the world. And as our adversaries test us with attacks on international shipping and even direct threats to our own facilities, such as the Houthi threats to U.S. forces in Djibouti, failing to respond with strength sends one message: that America is not willing to defend its interests or its allies. That sentiment only encourages Beijing and every other hostile actor to keep pushing. Today's hearing focuses specifically on maritime security in Africa and the implications for U.S. commercial diplomacy. The security of Africa's waters has a direct bearing on the security of the United States. The continent's Atlantic coast connects to our homeland through the same maritime routes that carry our energy supplies, commerce, and unfortunately, transnational criminal flows. On the other side of the continent, the Red Sea and the Western Indian Ocean form the western flank of the Indo-Pacific, where China seeks to expand its naval reach. If we overlook Africa's maritime vulnerabilities, we leave open pathways that adversaries can exploit against us. This issue is not theoretical. It addresses an acute, present, and real threat to global commerce and security. China's influence in Africa's maritime ports also directly impacts American workers, our economic stability, and our national security. First, China's aggressive pursuit of a military port in West Africa would represent a major threat to U.S. security. A Chinese naval facility on the Atlantic would allow Beijing to operate warships, including submarines, opposite our east coast. It would also fundamentally put American cities, shipping, and undersea infrastructure at risk. Second, China's malign behavior on the seas already harms African nations and the United States. Illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing by Chinese vessels devastates local economies, fuels corruption, and drives instability. It also undermines legitimate U.S. commercial engagement that should be building prosperity and trust with our African partners, not ceding the field to the CCP. Third, the maritime domain is increasingly a battleground for hybrid warfare, including piracy and criminal networks, human trafficking routes, narco-trafficking routes, sabotage and interference with undersea cables, and coercive economic practices. China is exploiting all of these avenues, not just one, all of them. The United States should modernize and adequately fund the tools required to counter the CCP's maritime expansion, defend freedom of navigation, and protect American commercial interests. But let me be clear, we will block any attempt by the CCP to take advantage of our African partners or the United States. In previous hearings, I've emphasized the importance of the United States being the preferred partner for African nations. We offer transparency, economic growth, the rule of law, and respect for sovereignty, while China pursues exploitation across every domain. The CCP intends to displace the United States globally, and Africa is a critical medium of that ambition. Maritime domain is one of their many canvases.